Hello friends, data analytics is one of the important topic that we'll be using nowadays directly or indirectly. In many situations, whenever people work on data, mobile or some other devices like laptops and so many applications on those devices. So we directly or indirectly keep ourselves busy in manipulating and processing data. So this data is moreover increasing day by day, and now in trillions of a data size is being used by the organization. Organizations by means of this is the people who has a big huge industries like a software industries. They collect the data and try to generate some meaningful output from that. First of all, we'll try to understand how the data is generated. If we are using a laptop or a mobile, in that situation, we every time keep ourselves calling to the people, using application, downloading some information, and also communicating text messages, images and videos to multiple people. So each time when we communicate the things to the people, the log will be generated. So every minute and second a log will be counted and a huge information of log will be stored into the server as well as into your device. So this itself is information. So this information size is smaller because we are just storing a log, information that you have communicated with some person. But the information is also an added thing which you have communicated with another people. So this information can be a text message, audio as well as video information. So in total we will get images, audios, videos and a log as a data in our cell phone as well as on the server. So this is what we have discussed only for a one person. But what happens if multiple people are doing the same task? Then the data will be multiplied by those many number of people. And in addition to that, let's say that few people are working on a social network. So on a social network, so when we work a network like application like a Facebook, then we will be sending information. So we will be talking with the people and we will be communicating the information to the people. Also we used to tag. So this information will be uploaded as and when required on the Facebook, and the information becomes huge. So this information will be collected by organizations, as I said, like a Facebook. They will restore it or they will use it and generate some specific use of it. So we'll see about that later, but first of all we'll try to understand what is a big data. So this big data is nothing but having a huge data set. Just now we were talking about a very simple example of a single mobile phone or a single laptop. So this single mobile phone and single laptop can generate this much amount of data. Then just imagine how many cell phones we have in India and all over the world. So these many cell phones are generating a huge amount of data, maybe in trillions. Then you can think how much amount of data is generated by the multiple devices like television, laptops and so many. So that is why we have a big data. We'll be working on a big data so that the quantity of data is huge and unimaginable data size can be generated. Previously, before 10 years or before 20 years, we were not working with the social networking or image videos kind of data. we're just using those information just for understanding, reading or watching purpose. But now the images and videos are also used for some processing. For example, so when we have set image video surveillance, then we will be observing the people, their faces, their number plates and multiple things out of that video. So it means we are processing on a video data also. So this had changed the scenario, and now previously as we were working on RDBMS relational data set, now the data is completely changed. Images, audios and so many things, it has made the data set very complex. That is what comes under a big data. Now the speed of internet has increased. That is why people started using is 100 times better and faster than it was done previously. So this has made the people to use data in a faster way, and that is why data is created and also used in a very fast way. There are multiple sources from which the data is generated. These sources has made the availability of data, and that is a different types of data. As we were talking about mobile sensors and mobile phones, so these sensors are nothing but a proximity sensor. The moment that we use a GPS as an application of the sensors, with which the mobile will be able to generate the movement. It will be able to track your movement. It will also able to track with your fingertip how many times you logged into your cell phone and how much distance you can travel with the available battery. So all these sensors will make the life very easier, but similarly it has increased the data as well. We had a discussion about social media like Facebook, Instagram, and then many of them people are using every day. We have a video surveillance system installed in multiple cities, multiple metropolitan cities. So what we do with that, we used to track the vehicle which is parked in at an illegal space, and that number will be identified and the fine will be charged on an online method. So this video surveillance method has made the life in very predictive and very easier way. Video rendering, this service has used for generating number of videos and processing on it. Smart gate grids, it's with the help of internet and with the help of electricity, we used to generate multiple data and we used to process on it as and when required. Geological explorations, so we used to have multiple locations. With the help of satellite, we get lots of information, we analyze it, we process it, and we keep it for a future use. Nowadays, medical information has also been processed for identification of different diseases, and these diseases can be understood only when we will get multiple images of medical as well as multiple test results. So this information is processed and utilized. Genetic sequencing is one of the important factor which has made the medical field has provided a very strengthening infrastructure, and with which people will be able to find out the disease and will be able to treat on it. So this is what a data sources available with us for processing. So whenever these sources will generate a data, so we have to store this data at some specific space. So this specific space can be named as a data structure. So if we have there are specific purposes of using data structure. So this data, as we have already seen, there are multiple data structures exist in our previous classes. It's like a stack, queue, linked list, then trees, and then tables, and so many of them. So these data structures are a process of storing a data in a proper way, whereas we will be able to access them, update them, and process them as and when required. Previously we had used many structured data structures. Data structures means as we have used for numbers and tables kind of things into that data. But as the data is very complex, unstructured data is also being used. Unstructured data is images, audios, videos, logs, then then so many information, lots of information which do not have a unique or a very specific structure, that is known as unstructured data. Then we have semi-structured and quasi-structured as well. Semi-structured, it's like XML kind of data information available to us, where the data and some structural methodology is involved, whereas quasi-structured we used to include lots of clicks and logs of the data or website usage will also be understood as quasi-structured. So in a big data we used to deal with most of the unstructured data and quasi-structured data, because structured data is very well properly managed in the previous methods which are already available and very efficiently used. Now our task is to work with the quasi-structured and unstructured data mostly. Then people have collected the data from data sources, stored all the data in some data structure, and then the data has to be used further. The data storing is not enough. Data processing and generating a useful output is important. Then how can we say that this particular information is useful or not? In previous years, in few previous years, people has used this information as a business purpose, very properly named as business intelligence. People used to get the reports of the processing, the product what they have made in last 5 years, last 7 years, what was the sell graph or sales information of that particular product, what was the ups and downs in the company strategy or company portfolio in last few years. So by understanding this information, people used to think or generate new strategies for next year or next few years. So this is known as business intelligence. But now the business intelligence is not the only thing. We can make use of this data and the processing of the data. The advanced factor of that is generally said as data science. In data science, we used to predict what can be the future strategies, what can a person has to do in the future, so that manipulation or the processing or his decisions will be more prominent and result oriented. So this result oriented process can be done with data science only. There is a difference between business intelligence and data science. We can say few sentences for that. Business intelligence is output oriented, more or report oriented, and it is used to understand what was the sale figures, what is the problem, and what is the situation, what is the solution of this, and that all is more or very specific, number oriented. But data science will provide you how it has happened, what was the situation that made the result go down or the cell goes down, what has happened. So this how, what, and what is the strategy you need to change, these will be answered only with the data science. So this is how we can differentiate between business intelligence and data science. More probably we'll be working on data science, and that has made the world very efficient. Current analytical structure, how people are working with data nowadays. Nowadays means we are not talking about business data analytics, we are talking about how the people have made the available data to generate a better output. Data sources, as we have seen, mobile phones, laptops, and so many sales figures, and the employee expenditure, etc., etc., all will be collected with multiple data sources in a database. So this database used to generate reports previously, and people used to think the strategies manually, but now this data will be transferred to the EWD, Enterprise Data Warehouse. So this Enterprise Data Warehouse will hold multiple things in addition to that. Previously, people were used to have a departmental warehouse, general, a regular data set, relational database, where this data will be collected all together and the dashboard is maintained with reports, alerts, everything will be combined all together for processing the data, and that will be done by a data scientist. So this is the place where data science people can work. If we look behind, the departmental warehouse and data warehouse will be managed by database administrators. How data has to be stored, what structure has to be used for this is defined by database administrator. But once departmental database administrator has done his job, he will provide, or he has made the database well processed for further use, and this further use can be done by data science or data scientist, which will generate the report and predictive analysis for a definite decision making. So this is what a current data structure usage is. Drivers of big data. See, as I said, the data is nowadays increased, and this increased in multiple ways. In 1990s, people were used to have RDBM's data set. They used to, very few organizations were working on that. This is like SAP and Oracle, where the members, the parties which were involved in processing the data. And that time the data was used to, the word like trillion bytes data has been used. So this trillion data byte is no more stick to that, it has increased in 2000. Then in 2000 people used to work with the images and Excel sheets and words, and so many information were in use. So this digital content has made a small amount of data processing also with that. So now this data has increased from trillion to petabytes, and since this was not enough, as the world goes on, the data has increased again and again. So this huge data has converted into exabytes. Now this is no more petabytes. So this exabyte data is generated with the WhatsApp and YouTube and Wikipedia, Facebook, Twitter. We know that Twitter used to generate lakhs of tweets at every second. So this has increased data in exabytes, and this is what new forms or the units of data measuring. The emerging big data ecosystem, we need to think about it, because whatever data has been generated, if the data is not understood and processed, it's of no use. So generating data means using the data, because data, people used to say that information is a wealth, and if the information is not processed in and made it useful, then it's a waste. We know the ecosystem, if we used to say that the ecosystem, the process starts from data devices. These data devices will generate a data. We have already discussed about it. Then we have data collectors. Data collectors, the government, where the tax related information, PAN cards and UID cards and so much IDs they have. With the help of these IDs, they will use to classify the data and will store at a proper place with the data structures what they have. The medical field is, medical and insurance field has also increased, and they will also store the data with the increase of information of every patient. The internet is also storing the data with the help of the IDs like UID, as well as the email IDs and the WhatsApp IDs and the Twitter IDs, and so many information will be stored on the internet as well. So the data collectors will collect the information, but some of the places the data will be aggregated. The data what we get will be summarized, because the information need to be used whatever is required. The complete information cannot be used at every location, every purpose, but some of the information which we feel that this particular information is useful, then the data aggregation will be the place where the data will be processed as and when required. The last is data users. The data users will be working on the summarized data as well as raw data, because they want to process on a data and has to make some decision for the future use. So this is how the data devices, data collectors, data aggregators and data users are the part of this ecosystem, and the ecosystem has to be very properly managed, so that the data flow will be very efficiently and properly done. Then, as we say that this is a new strategy that we are going to introduce, it means we used to have the new players in this ecosystem. Then these players are deep analytical talent, which is nothing but a data scientist. So these data scientists are in demand in the market. People need to have the data scientists in the market for processing on a data. Data scientists will have a strategy. They know how to work, get processed and make the decision. Whereas the second layer will have a data savvy professional. These data savvy professionals will have the programming kind of knowledge with which they will be able to process on a data and will make the data proper for usage. Then we have the lower level is technology and data enablers. These data enablers are nothing but a data administrators. These data administrators will provide you the data which will be used for a sandbox of a data, and that will be further used some part by a savvy professionals and deep and data scientists. So this is how the people will work in the data ecosystem. See, as we say, you people will be working on as a data scientist in the future, or the database administrator or whatever. The skill set that data scientists need to have are here. he need to have a technical skills. He need to know the basics of how data will be managed, what are the data structures, how data will behave, how data will flow, how it will be communicated, and all. The quantitative information, quantitative manipulation related skills are also important, where he will be able to find a mean, standard deviations. These are just samples or examples I am just telling you. The quantitative skills will allow the person, data scientist, to process on and extract the information for a specific use. Then the data scientist should have a curious and creative, because see, unless he used to get a proper information, we are not talking about business intelligence. The question is not generated here. The question is not like how much sale has been done in last 5 years. We are not going to generate that, but we are going to generate a predictive information. What will be the sale in next 5 years, and what is the strategy that you need to apply for increasing the sale in forthcoming years. So for this, the information, the data is there, but you need to have a creative thinking. You need to generate, manage the data in a very proper way. So this is how we can be a creative and curious data scientist can generate it properly. The skeptical and communicative and collaborative, these skills will allow you to explore the data properly and manage them nicely. So this is how we used to work on data as a data scientist, and we can work on big data for usage and implementation of the decision making for a further use. Thank you.